No?
You? Yeah. No. I don't know where all the devotees are.
Well, all the devotees, let's see.
Nardan is cooking. Santosh, Balaram.
Who's cooking? Nardan is cooking. How about Matt? Now he's doing out into the distance. We're getting ready to travel. Santosh is...
Santosh.
And who else is there? I is there.
Dravida. What are the lights?
Here you go. Oh, let's see. Wait a second. There he is. There it is. Glasses. Hare Krishna. Okay.
I was thinking this temple would look even nicer, but then I was thinking it's kind of like
It's full of devotees.
yeah, kind of a
Really nice.
kind of like a fantastical idea. But you know how in the beautiful old churches in like Europe they have like the big high ceiling with and it's like all domed and everything.
Yeah.
That'd be nice. I'm gonna have pictures of
It's
it.
not nice for the kirtan. It's too echoey.
Oh really?
Yeah, I've been in
Oh, like in LA.
Toronto, if you've ever been to church, 100-foot high ceiling.
Really?
So the plan is, I'm going to chant the Jairadam, and then as soon as I finish, close those doors really tight, and open the side doors.
Okay.
Now this works.
Both side doors or just this one?
I'm sorry?
Both side doors, just this one?
Yeah, you can
Both
open that
sides.
one, yeah. And this is working. It's really low. All right, just you and me. You can hear me, right? Jaya Radha Madhava Punjabi Hari
Radha Madhava Punjabi Hari
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari
Radha Madhava Punjabi Hari
Gopijana Vallabha Girivardhari
Gopijana Vallabha Girivardhari
Jaya Gopijana Vallabha Girivardhari
Gopijana Vallabha Girivardhari
Yasodanandana Vajjana Ranjana
Yashodanandana
Yashodanandana Vajjana Ranjana
Yashodanandana Bhajana Ranjana
Yamunatira Vanachari
Yamunatira Vanachari
Yamunatira Vanachari
Yamunatira Vanachari
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare,
Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari, Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari, Jai Om Vishnupada Paramahamsa Parivrikaracharya Ashtottara Shri Sriman's Divine Grace Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai, ISKCON BBT Founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai, Jai Om Vishnupada Paramahamsa Parivrikaracharya Ashtottara Shri Sriman's Divine Grace Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Ki Jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnava Ki Jai, Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai, Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai, Samaveda Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Guru and Gauranga. Or should I say, all glories to the assembled devotee?
All glory to the assembled devotees.
Oh, there's two devotees. Okay, now I have devotees.
So you can say assembled devotees now.
Okay, here we are.
The assembled devotee.
But don't forget the side doors. A little smother in here. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Actually, let's put that on hold. Narayanam Namaskritya. Narang Chaiva Narottamam. Devim Saraswatim Vyasam. Tato Jayamudiriye. Before reciting this Srimad Bhagavatam, which is our very means of conquest, we should offer our respectful obeisances unto Lord Narayan, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, unto Nara Narayan Rishi, the supermost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, unto Srila Vyasadeva, the author, and unto Srila Prabhupada, the translator, commentator, and our spiritual master. Nashtapayesha Badreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavatyuttama Shloke Bhakti Bhavati Naishtiki. By regular attendance in classes on Srimad Bhagavatam and by rendering devotional service to the pure devotee, all that is inauspicious within the heart is destroyed almost to nil, and loving devotion to the Supreme Lord, who is glorified in transcendental songs, is established as an irrevocable fact. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. On this 12th day of July, 2017, in SanDiego, we're reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, translation and commentary by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. We are studying Canto 3, the status quo, Chapter 24, the renunciation of Kardama Muni, text number 33. How's it look there? All right, I haven't had a chance to check the whole thing, but we'll have faith. You ready, Zach? Participate? Okay. Param pradhanam purusham mahantam.
Param pradhanam purusham mahantam.
Kalam kaving trivitam lokapalam.
Kalam kaving trivritam lokapalam.
Atmanubhutyanugata prapancham
Atmanubhutyanugata prapancham
Swachanda Shaktim Kapilam Prapadye
Vachanda Shaktim Kapilam Prapadye
Param Pradhanam Purusham Mahantam
Param Pradhanam Purusham Mahantam
Kalam Kavim Trivatang Lokapalam
Kalam Kavim Sri Pratam Lokapalam
Atmanubhutyanugata prapancham
Atmanubhutyanugata prapancham
Swachanda Shaktim Kapilam Prapadye.
Vachanda Shaktim Kapilam Prapadye.
Alright, since there's only a couple of us. Second line. We're going to rehearse this. It's Trivatam. It's not Trivatam. Kalam Kavim Trivatam Lokapalam. Trivatam. Well, look at it. Trivatam. In other words, there's no stopping between the I and the V. Trivatam. Trivatam. All right, one more time. Padam Pradhanam Purusham Mahantam
Param Pradhanam Purusham Mahantam
Kalam Kavim Trivatam Lokapalam
Kalam Kavim Trivitam Lokapalam
Atmanubhutyanugata prapancham
Atmanubhutyanugata prapancham
Swachanda Shaktim Kapilam Prapadye.
Vachanda Shaktim Kapilam Prapadye
Param Pradhanam Purusham Mahantam
Padam Pradhanam Purusham Mahantam
Kalam Kavim Trivatam Lokapalam
Kalam Kavim Trivatam Lokapalam
Atmanubhutyanugata Prapancham
Atmanubhutyanugata prapancham
Swachanda Shaktim Kapilam Prapadye
Swachanda Shaktim Kapilam Prapadye. Go ahead.
Param Pradhanam Purusham Mahantam
Padam Pradhanam Purusham Mahantam
Kalam Kavim Trivitam Lokapalam
Kalam Kavim Trivatam Lokapalam
Atmanubhutyanugata prapancham
Atmanubhutyanugata prapancham
Swachanda Shaktim Kapilam Prapadye
Swachanda Shaktim Kapilam Prapadye. Param Pradhanam Purusham Mahantam Kalam Kavim Trivatam Lokapalam Atmanubhutyanugata prapancham Swachanda Shaktim Kapilam Prapadye. Param,
Param
transcendental.
Transcendental
Pradhanam,
Pradhanam
supreme.
Supreme
Purusham,
Purusham
person.
Person
Mahantam,
Mahantam
who is the origin of the material world.
who is the origin of the material world
Kalam,
Kalam
who is time.
just time
Kavim,
Kavim
fully cognizant.
fully cognizant
Trivatam,
Trivatam
three modes of material nature.
three modes of material nature
Lokapalam,
Lokapalam
who is the maintainer of all the universes.
who is the maintainer of all the universes
Atma,
Atma
in himself.
in himself
Anubhutya,
Anubhutya
by internal potency.
by internal potency
Anugata,
Anugata
dissolved.
dissolved
Prapancham,
Prapancham
whose material manifestations.
whose material manifestations
Swachanda,
Swachanda
independently.
independently
Shaktim,
Shaktim
who is powerful.
who is powerful
Kapilam,
Kapilam
to Lord Kapila.
to Lord Kapila
Papadye,
Prapadye
I surrender.
I surrender.
Translation. So, Kardama Muni, speaking to Lord Kapila Dev. I surrender unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead, descended in the form of Kapila, who is independently powerful and transcendental, who is the Supreme Person and the Lord of the sum total of matter and the element of time, who is the fully cognizant maintainer of all the universes under the three modes of material nature, and who absorbs the material manifestations after their dissolution. Purport. The six opulences, wealth, strength, fame, beauty, knowledge, and renunciation, are indicated here by Kardama Muni, who addresses Kapila Muni, his son, as Param. Now, indicated here means coming in from the last verse. Here, is right here in these last two verses. The word Param is used in the beginning of Srimad Bhagavatam in the phrase Param Satyam, to refer to the summum bonum, or the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Param is explained further by the next word, pradhanam, which means the chief, the origin, the source of everything, sarva karana karanam, the cause of all causes. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is not formless. He is Purusham, or the enjoyer, the original person. Time out. That's Maharaj. It has to be over at this spot. Okay, remove that. Just move it over to the spot. Thanks.
The spot is here, right?
Yeah, right there.
Everybody knows.
Well, they know, but the knowledge doesn't always enter into the senses. Okay. He knows everything, past, present, and future. As confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita, the Lord says, I know everything, past, present, and future, in every corner of the universe. The material world, which is moving under the spell of the three modes of nature, is also a manifestation of his energy. Parasya Shakti Vivadhaiva Shuyate. Everything that we see is an interaction of his energies. Shvetashvara Upanishad 6.8. Parasya Brahmana Shaktis Tatedam Akilam Jagat. This is the version of the Vishnu Purana. We can understand that whatever we see is an interaction of the three modes of material nature, but actually it is all an interaction of the Lord's energy. Lokapalam. He is actually the maintainer of all living entities. Nityo Nityanam. He is the chief of all living entities. He is one, but he maintains many, many living entities. God maintains all other living entities, but no one can maintain God. That is his Swachanda Shakti. He is not dependent on others. Someone may call himself independent, but he is still dependent on someone higher. The personality of Godhead, however, is absolute. There is no one higher than or equal to him. Kapila Muni appeared as the son of Kardama Muni, but because Kapila is an incarnation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Kardama Muni offered respectful obeisances unto him with full surrender. Another word in this verse is very important. Atmana Bhutjanagata Prapancham. The Lord descends either as Kapila or Ram, Nrsimha or Varaha, and whatever forms he assumes in the material world are all manifestations of his own personal internal energy. They are never forms of the material energy. The ordinary living entities who are manifested in this material world have bodies created by the material energy. But when Krishna or any one of his expansions or parts of the expansions descends to this material world, although he appears to have a material body, his body is not material. He always has a transcendental body. But fools and rascals who are called mudhas consider him one of them, and therefore they deride him. They refuse to accept Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead because they cannot understand him. In the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, Abhajananti mamudha. Those who are rascals and fools deride me. When God descends in a form, this does not mean that he assumes his form with the help of the material energy. He manifests his spiritual form as he exists in his spiritual kingdom. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshu Unmidatam Mena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I was born in the darkness of ignorance. My spiritual master Srila Prabhupada opened my eyes with the torchlight of knowledge. I offer my humble obeisance unto him and all members of Sri Parampara. So this is one of the many prayers you'll find in the Srimad Bhagavatam. And often you'll find these prayers, glorification, running through various philosophical aspects of Krishna. There's this word that we're familiar with, vandanam. Vandeham Shri Guru. It's a very common word we use all the time. And if you notice, it means two things in our ordinary parlance. It means bowing down, but it also means praying to. Vandanam, right? That's one of the 9 processes of devotional service, praying to Krishna. So, a few years ago, I did a little seminar with Ramapad Maharaj in Chicago, and the theme was Vandanam. And by reading various prayers in the Bhagavatam, I came up with this little formula as to what Vandanam consists of, generally. So there's bowing down, obviously, but there's also glorification, and there's ultimately a prayer, what we ordinarily call prayer, some request that you're asking. And we'll find that from Kardama Muni near the end of his prayers, a couple of verses hence. So he's bowed down. Each of these verses, prapadye, I surrender, I bow down. But at the same time, he's glorifying Krishna in a very kind of philosophical way. The Krishna tattva, so to speak. There's nothing here about Vrindavan, nothing about playing the flute. It's all about the glories of Krishna, how he exists in this material world, and so forth. And Srila Prabhupada runs through these. Now, when he refers to the 6 opulences, the last verse was very enlivening to me. In fact, I'm trying to remember at least half of it, because he runs through those 6 opulences. Aishvarya, Vairagya, Yasho, Vibodha, Virya, Shriya, Purtam Aham Prapadya. I surrender unto you who are Purtam, full of unlimited opulence. It's inconceivable, because in this material world, we know people who are very wealthy, they have inconceivable amounts of wealth, billions of dollars, and the vast mass of people can hardly put 2 pennies together. There's people who are trying to live on $2 a day. That's the world poverty standard. They live on $2 a day. So, but no one can say, even the multi-billionaires cannot say they have all the wealth. But Krishna has all the wealth. Bhoktaram Jagitapasang Sarvaloka Maheshwaram. The word Ishvara and Aishvara are closely related. Right? Ishvara means the person who has the Aishwarya. Aishwarya is the controlling power. And when you think about it, money is Shakti. Money is energy by which you can control. Right? If you have money, enough money, you can buy the politicians. You can have a lot of control, pay people off. This is what, so Aishwarya and Ishvara, very careful. But Krishna has all the Aishwarya. Ultimately, he's the supreme controller. What's that line? We know? Ishvara Parama Krishna. Right? The supreme controller is Krishna. That means he has all the Aishwarya. And Vairagya. Now, Vairagya, Prabhupada always, renunciation. And of course, it's perfect and complete. But Vairagya means the mood. Vairagya is a state of mind, really. It's dispassion. It's detachment. Raga is attachment. Vairagya means detachment. This is something that we want to try to attain. This is a sine qua non of advancement in devotional service. The rise of Vairagya, detachment, right? So Krishna is completely detached. He has all the wealth. He has, billions and uncounted billions, as many as he wants, Lakshmis, all these queens, right? And yet he's not attached to them. It's even described like that. The queens really couldn't agitate him. They had all the feminine wiles, but all those 16,108 queens couldn't make him lose his composure. He was really detached. But when he was engaging in rasa, he voluntarily does it. So the point is the complete vairagya, which is an opulence that no one really knows about or cares about, but it's a very important opulence as well. Yasha of Abodha, so fame, as Prabhupada one pointed out, who doesn't know God? I mean, everyone, at least, even if you don't believe in God, right? If you don't believe in God, you still know about Him. So God is undoubtedly the most famous, and Krishna's fame is, is going throughout the universe, throughout everywhere. Avabodha means knowledge, and Prabhupada quotes. He actually goes through all of these. Who could be more knowledgeable? Krishna says, if you know the Vedaham samatitani vartamanani charjana bhavishani tabhutani mam tu vedana kashtana. I know everything's happened in the past, everything is happening now, and everything that happens is going to happen in the future. And I know all living beings, but no one can know me. That is the gold standard of omniscience. No one can. Obviously he knows all that can be known. Virya. Now, virya actually has different forms. There's sensual power, there's a physical power. Krishna excels and is supreme in all of them. He probably is fond of saying yes, and in his childhood he lifted, the Govardhan hill. This was one display of his unlimited power. But, and then Shriya, beauty. Now, this is one that other religions practically have no acquaintance with. Certainly he's all powerful. And I have to fear him because he can punish me. He knows what I did, So he has the knowledge. But the idea of God's beauty and its infinite beauty, which is really what is displayed in Vrindavan, he tamps down or covers or has Yogamaya cover these other. He doesn't want, Yashodamai to realize that he's Aishwarya and he has all these Shaktis, that would spoil the mood. So that's all covered. But the beauty comes out. Beauty in all varieties of ways is there. So Purtam, he's full in all of these. And Aham Prapadye. That's the previous verse. And Prabhupada begins this purport with referring to those 6 opulences. Now, I'm just going to run through here because Prabhupada nicely quotes various verses supporting or expanding on the idea of each of these points in the verse. So the first one is Param Satyam, just the word Param, which Prabhupada translates as transcendental in word-by-word meanings. But he refers to the beginning of Bhagavatam, Param Satyam Dhimahi. The Bhagavatam really, if you will, expands from that first verse, is defining what is this Janma Yasya Yataha, which is the second verse or sutra of the Vedanta Sutras. In the human form of life, to make it fruitful, to take advantage, we have to inquire into what is that supreme truth. Otherwise, it's just a waste of life. It's no better than animal life. It doesn't matter if you build so many buildings or write so many things that have nothing to do with Krishna, achieve something in this world. It ultimately bubbles in the ocean. It doesn't mean anything. The only thing that means anything in your life, or to make your life meaningful, is to, always and everywhere, sarvatra and I forget the other word for always, but to always and everywhere to be inquiring, to have this consciousness of the absolute truth of Krishna. And so that's the first verse, Param Satyam Dhimahi. I meditate on the supreme absolute truth. Who is Vasudeva? Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Who enlightened Brahma, right? Who has created this whole world, which is so bewildering, like water and fire, etc. There's so much there in that first verse. But the main point is that he's a person, and you're meditating on him. It's like a Gayatri mood there. In fact, one of the definitions of Bhagavatam is that it's an expansion of the Gayatri mantra. That's mentioned in one of the Puranas. So, Param Satyam, he's the supreme absolute truth. Now, Samam Bonam, this phrase we see in Prabhupada's books, you may not know exactly what it means. The supreme good, the absolute good. What we all should be striving for, that Nikshayasa, ultimate good. This is Krishna, Supreme Personality of Godhead. Now, Pradhan, if you read Prabhupada's books, and there's Mahatattva, which is emanated from the Pradhan. Pradhan is the unmanifested, complete material energy. And in one sense, that's a kind of cause. That's an elemental cause. Without Pradhan, there's no material world. Of course, until the energy of the super soul and the impulse of the living entities starts working, that nothing happens. But Pradhan is the unmanifest totality of the material energy. So that's mentioned here. Pradhanam, which means the chief, the origin, the source of everything. And Prabhupada brings in from the Brahma Samhita, first verse, Sarva Karana Karanam. That's kind of an easy one to remember. Sarva Karana Karanam. Karana means cause, and Sarva means all, and so the cause of all causes. And this is one of the verses, this is one of the definitions of God by Thomas Aquinas. The uncaused cause, the cause of all causes. Even he could understand that. Then Prabhupada spends a lot of time here discussing, he's not formless. The Supreme Personality of God is not formless. He's Purusham. And Purusham means the person, it means the male, it means the enjoyer. That's also in this verse. And he is the time element. Now what is, time, in the 10th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, and there's another chapter also, I think, 9th, that Krishna identifies himself as time 3 or 4 times in the Bhagavad Gita. Because, famously in the 11th chapter, Arjuna asked, he was asking this, he's trembling, asking the universal form, Krishna, Bharatma. Who are you? I can see you destroying everything, you're making me tremble, you're making everyone tremble. And so Krishna says, you can imagine that voice, thundering in the clouds, Kalosmi loka chaya kritva vido. Time I am, and I've come to destroy everything. Just a side note, you may not know, this is the verse that Oppenheimer, he knew a little Bhagavad Gita, he actually chanted it when the first atom bomb blew up. They didn't know. They thought they might blow up everything, but well, we might as well try it. So, we can imagine how awe-inspiring that was. So, but even less so than the universal form. So, time moves everything, obviously. And who is free from time? Only the devotees. Ayur hari bhaipung sam udyanastan nishamaso tasyarte yachanachito uttama shloka vartana. That the rising and setting of the sun, which is the measure of time, is taking away the life of everybody except those who use their time for glorifying Krishna. Now, why is that? Because you're on the timeless platform. When what you do, the more of your activities and your thoughts and your life is in Krishna consciousness, it's on an eternal platform. Because when everyone else dies, it's like it all turns to dust. Their activities are just turn into a previous dream that doesn't mean anything, and you start a whole new thing. So you didn't do anything; you just were pushed along and destroyed. But for devotees, the activities that you're doing are eternal, like this deity worship. This is like training for what's going on in the spiritual world. You read the books how the gopis are dressing Radha and Krishna, and all helping them to enjoy it. That's what the deity is. The cooking, the cleaning, everything. Every day in Vrindavan, Radharani cooks a great, huge feast breakfast for Krishna. After I think he goes first, he milks the cows, and then there's breakfast time. Every day it's happening. So the time doesn't destroy the devotees, but it destroys everyone else and everything else. So very powerful. And then he talks about you're the time factor, and then omniscient, know everything past, present, future. We dealt with that. And then the idea of the Shaktis. Here it's mentioned right in the verse. Swachanda Shakti. This means independent. It means that we derive our energy from some other source, ultimately from Krishna. But if you're sick, suddenly you have no energy. If you can't eat, gradually your energy wanes. If you can't breathe. In other words, everything depends on so many things for us to have our energy. We forget that until suddenly it's not there anymore. But Krishna's energies are innate. And that's a very important aspect. That also his knowledge is innate. That's in the first verse of the Bhagavatam. Janman Yasya Dhamma Tadadas Charteshu Bhigya Swarat. Swarat. He's Abhigya Swarat, meaning that his knowledge does not depend on anyone else's, but everyone else's depends on him. So this is the gold standard of omniscience and Shakti. So Swachanda Shakti. So that also speaks to how he appears. When Krishna comes, he comes completely out by his own will, out of compassion. He comes to protect the devotees who are being tormented by the demons, so he wipes out the demons, reinstitutes Dharma. This is right in the 4th chapter. He doesn't have to do that. He's still enjoying in the spiritual world. But out of his own, Ajobi san aviyakma, bhutanam isharobisan, prakatam smamadashtaya, simbhavam, atmamaya. Atmamaya means by my energy. Although I am unborn, my transcendental body never deteriorates. And I am the Lord of all. Still, by my own energy, I appear millennium after millennium. So this is in great contrast to how we incarnate. We also have our incarnations, one after another. But it's by force, by the force of our karma, by daiva, by a higher power. Karmana daiva netena, jantu deha bhavate. By according to our activities, the supervision of daiva, which is the super soul and all the demigods, we get put into a certain womb so we can fulfill our karma. So that's not at all what Krishna appears. But in order to engage with his devotees, he sometimes appears in the human form, as Ram, as Krishna, and some others. So therefore, the fools think, oh, he must be a human being. And this verse Prabhupada quotes, Abhajananti mamudha manushim tanamashadam. The mudas, the fools, they deride me when I appear in human form, not understanding my supreme dominion over all that being. And because they deride me, everything they do turns to dust. Mogasha, moga karmano, moga jnana, bachetasa, rakshasi, vasini, prakati mohani. They've taken shelter of the external energy. Now, several verses we've had this word prapadye, which means I surrender. And in the last purport, Prabhupada, in the beginning, he talked about taking shelter. So these two things actually go together. That when you surrender, now that word, of course, has connotations in English. Somehow or other, I always think of the Japanese at the end of World War II, having to go and kowtow to the Americans on the ship, and surrender. Absolute surrender, whatever you want to do with us, But there's certainly no taking shelter there. It's just like, give me shelter from whatever they're going to do. But because, Krishna is all compassion, and he's our best friend, right? Surisam Dharmabhutanam. Surrendering to Krishna is equivalent to taking shelter. This is the confidence we have as devotees. The default on the material side is that we don't want to surrender to anyone, and we certainly don't want anyone to know our secrets. Right? There's these two things. So Krishna, we know he knows all our secrets. Right? We just know he's omniscient. He's in everyone's heart, and the best thing we can do is surrender to him. And the reason we should be confident that he really is surit, that he has our best interests in mind. Because the material side, our conditioning, is saying, no, I don't want to surrender. Or maybe I'll surrender 70%, max,
And plus you surrender, you get exploited.
Yeah, that's the thing. We have, material experience, and even we may have exploited others, so we know the drill. So the standard is to try to be independent, but you can't be independent. You're completely dependent. We're completely dependent at every moment on Krishna's energies, His mercy, just for living. So with that understanding, that's why this kind of philosophy is so important. And it's reiterated again and again in the Bhagavatam. Because it gives us a sense of who we actually are. Remember, that was the first question of Sanatana Goswami. It should be our first question. Who am I? What am I, really? If I don't know that, how can I act for my ultimate benefit? This is the big problem in the material world. People have no idea that they're spirit. They think they're matter, and they think that the pleasures of the senses, gross and subtle, is a real welfare. But it's a huge mistake, and it just leads to defeat. Parabhavastava bodha jato. I love this verse. This is Rishabdev analyzing, our situation here. There's three of them. The first, nunam pamatta kurate vikarma. Certainly those who are only working for sense gratification are mad. They're mad. Nunam pamatta kurate vikarma. And they're performing all kinds of sinful activities against the Vedas, deepening their entanglement in this material world, implication. And the worst part is that you're absolutely 100% sure to get another material body by acting for sense gratification, which is the source of all suffering. So where's the percentage in it? If for a little flickering pleasure, you're ensuring yourself, who knows, hundreds of lives. You may very well lose the human form of life. So then he has a wonderful verse. He says, okay, for human beings who are interested in their ultimate good, here's the situation. Parabhavastava bodha jato yavan jigyasata atmatattvam. Jigyasata atmatattvam. Notice that this is the word. Brian, you may need to stand up. I'm sorry. So parabhavas means defeat. Defeat means birth, old age, disease, and death. So you will be defeated. What is the source of this defeat, birth after birth? It's ignorance. Abodha jata. Born of ignorance. And therefore, until you start inquiring into the truth of the self, the Atma Tattva, you are going to be in ignorance, and you're going to be defeated birth after birth. It's absolutely airtight logic, right? Padavabas tavad yavad means as long as you don't do this, you won't get this, or as long as you do this, you won't. So you will be defeated. Padavabas tavad abodha jato yavam, as long as jigyasata atma tattvam. You do not inquire into atma tattva. And how does it work? Padavabas yavat kriyas. By in your ignorance, you're sure to act fruitively. That's called kriya in this context. As long as you're acting fruitively, then it implants all kinds of fruitive desires in the mind, and your mind becomes karmatmaka. Karmatmaka means filled with this mood of what's in it for me, how can I enjoy, fruit of activity. So karmatmakam yena, by that mind, yena sharira bandha, you will remain bound up to a body one after another. So it's absolutely the foundation of all of our philosophy, really. I mean, a lot of it is like that. So then he has a final verse in the 3. Evamana karma vashampuyante. Thus, with your mind in ignorance and full of karmic ideas, you're forced to act karmically and stay back. Evamana karma vashampuyante. Avidyavan upadiyamane. And then the solution. Priti nayavan maya vasudevi in the muchate dehi yoga. By developing love for me, Vasudevi, he identifies himself there as the Supreme Person. Vrishabdev does. Only when you do that will you become free from your bondage to the body. Because the mind is no longer karmatmaka. It's filled with loving desires to serve Krishna. And that's what takes us out of this world. It's the only thing that can take us out. So, back to our verse here. This glorification of Krishna, glorification of the Lord, that's what's happening here. He's describing it. Now, there's one other verse here I wanted to share with you. Because Prabhupada gets into the energies. And this is one of the statements I think Jiva Goswami makes, without accepting and understanding the energies of the inconceivable energies of the Lord, there's no real God consciousness. We need to study this sambandha. What is the internal energy? How does it work? We're marginal energy. What is our position? And the external energies, bhuma, apana, lovaya. Because we need to see the world and ourselves with this knowledge as a knowledge base. Rather than go into the default things, what's pleasant, what's not pleasant, and this dull brain. So Prabhupada spends a lot of time on that. He begins with this one, which he loved to quote from the Upanishad, Parasya Shakti Vividhai Vashuyate Swabhavaki Jnana Balakriyacha. That Parasya Shakti means transcendental energies. Vividhaiva means varieties of energies. It's understood from the Shruti, Shruyate. And how do they work? Swabhavaki Jnana Balakriyacha. It means automatically, in other words, by his will, Swabhavaki Jnana Balakriya. Knowledge and strength and will. Krishna does everything. Now, and the way he does it oftentimes, he expands. He doesn't spend his time making the creation. He expands as Mahavishnu, Garbhadakta Vishnu. It's still him, but he's so powerful that he can expand and not worry about it, and spend his time, Goloka Vrindavan, enjoying with the cowboy boys and girls. So, but the energy is still his, and so that's in the Upanishads. And it's very important that even in the Upanishads you'll find that there's a description of the personality of God and his multifarious energies. Then he quotes this one verse from the Vishnu Purana. Ekadesha Sthitasya. This is a way we can understand how it works. In one spot in the room, say in the fireplace, there's a fire, right? And it's burning. You're 20 feet away, but it's a big blazing fire. You got it going real good. And you can feel the heat, and you can certainly see the light. So the fire is in one place, but it expands its energies. Similarly, Krishna is in one place, he's in Goloka Vrindavan. But everything is his energy. So, and that's also him. The Achintya Beta Beta Tattva. So this is one way in which he expands. He also expands plenary.
So he's far away and very, very near.
He's far away and near at the same time. Now, Krishna is so powerful, that's, the energies are there, but he also expands his super soul, which is, a personal expansion. But the important point to remember is that, and it's stated like this in Bhagavatam, idam hi vishram bhagavan nivedana. That this universe itself is Bhagavan, although it seems to be different from him. It's him in the sense of this is his energy. And just like the sun and the sunshine, a classic example. You're out in the sunshine, even the language. Oh, I got too much sun today. No, you got too much sunshine. The point is we identify the source of the energy with the energy. So that's a way in which we can see Krishna everywhere and realize that everything is within him and he's within everything.
Too much sun, you burnt to ash.
Exactly. So then Prabhupada goes on, definition how he's Lokapala. Lokapala means he's the maintainer, protector of all the worlds and all the people in them. So this verse, which is the first one I ever learned, because it's so easy, Nityo Nityanam Chaitanas Chaitananam Eko Bahunam Yobadatikam. But even just that, I think that first line is when I learned. Prabhu would often quote that. So it's very easy to understand. Nitya is singular, Nityanam is plural. Chaitana is singular, Chaitananam is plural. So of all the countless eternal conscious beings,